I'm the Tortoise.
And I'm the Hare. And welcome to our book club. My phone has, in fact, felled many an enemy.
Many an enemy? Or
Many
has
an
just
enemy.
felled itself?
It's fallen a lot.
Oh, poor phone.
I'm honestly surprised I haven't fully broken it yet.
Hey, I give horses and mouths. You know the saying.
That's true. Though, there is also, like, I will say there's more dog hair in that phone than there should. And, like, honestly, they kind of look like cracks. So every time I look at it, I'm like, did I crack my phone? Nope, that's just dog hair.
Mine's just actually cracked, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Oops.
Oops. Anyway.
Anywho, episode 2.
Welcome.
Hi. You came.
This one is episode 2, When the Moon Hatched.
Yeah. It was kind of cool.
And sundries.
And what?
Sundries.
What's sundries?
Sundries are like extras.
Oh, extras. Okay.
Yeah.
Learn something new
Sundry
today.
other things, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, in case this, I guess, hopefully not your first time listening.
Hopefully not. Otherwise, welcome.
Hi. I'm the Hare. I read real fast. That's it.
I'm the Tortoise. I do not.
Though you listen to audiobooks pretty fast.
I do. I crush an audiobook, but I don't remember 2/3 of it, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, since this is our first full episode reviewing a book and talking about a series, we're going to start it off official with a game.
A game!
A game.
It's the Literary Gauntlet!
Woo! So I think you're going first with this one, right?
Heck yeah.
Here you go. Here's the notes.
We're starting with the classic Would You Rather,
Ooh.
which is children and teenagers and people like us everywhere
Very true.
love a good Would You Rather. So let's start off with the first one. Would you rather live in the Twilightverse or, and if you listen to episode 1, you would know why this is funny, or the Zodiac Academy universe?
Okay. Honestly, this is actually a very easy pick for me because of how much I despise Zodiac Academy. So I'd rather live in Twilight. Because honestly, you just live in not Forks or in a very sunny place and you're pretty much good to go.
That's fair.
Like, so.
As long as there's a sun, you'd probably be safe. Except there's werewolves.
They're fine.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Eh.
I don't know if I could... Yeah, I don't know. Although, Papa Cullen does exist in the Twilightverse, so...
That's fair.
I could be swayed.
Book boyfriend right there?
Book daddy. I mean, literally daddy.
Okay, moving on.
Would you rather deal with the miscommunication trope or the relevant lost memories to lovers trope?
Oh God. This is really hard because I hate both of those tropes. I think I'd rather deal with the lost memories to lovers trope.
Yeah, I don't
just
know if that's
because
the
it's
amnesia trope, if that's the official name for
probably
it. Okay.
amnesia trope, but I think I'd rather deal with that just because it's less common than the miscommunication trope.
Fair. And, in my opinion, less frustrating.
That's true, because at least miscommunication, you're like, wow, y'all just can't be adults. With amnesia, there's a reason.
Yes.
There's actual motivation and reasoning.
That is fair, yeah. Okay. So these are very specific references. Would you rather have your joints dislocate every time you try to do anything? And this is not at, like, the actual Airler Downs situation. Just looking at you, Violet. Or watery bowels when you get turned on.
So it's have things dislocate or have watery bowels. I think I'd rather take the watery bowels.
Really?
Honestly, that just means it's not time to have sex, and that's okay. You hear me, book authors? It's okay for a female character to not want to sleep with every attractive male character that you make.
I don't know. They seem to disagree.
Listen, I'm still waiting for my virgin FMC. It's gonna happen one day. It's gonna happen one day. Well, I mean, there's Poppy, so I guess that's
There is Poppy.
There's Poppy.
That's vampires.
No,
No,
that's Penny.
Penny.
There's Penny.
Penny's
There's
another
Penny.
one.
Penny's another one. Poppy's from Ash and Blood, which
Okay.
is why you want to remember.
Penny's from Demon Days, Vampire Nights.
There we go.
There we go.
An episode later down the line.
Yes, it is.
Is that my turn now?
It is your turn.
Okay, my game now. Who would win in a fight?
All
and you
right.
have to explain.
Okay,
You
I
must
can do that.
support.
I love yapping, so
You must
bring it
support it. Okay. So, and I'll, for listeners, to help them out here.
Okay.
I'll mention the books that they're from.
That
too,
would be helpful
just
for
to-
me.
Just to do a recall.
Listeners and me.
So I'm actually going to go from least relevant to today's episode to most relevant.
Okay.
That way we end into a good transition bit.
That's why you're the responsible one.
So Edward from Twilight versus Darius from Demon Days Vampire Nights.
Oh, Darius, all day long.
Why?
Because, I mean, canonically, Darius can literally kick the ass of, like, Lucifer. And,
Oh, that's true.
yeah, he has canonically fought his way to be, like, in the top echelon of vampires, whereas Edward Cullen plays baseball with other vampires, and that's about the most action that we get there.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Hey, at least you started me off with an easy one.
That's true. I got you. Okay, next one. Rhysand from ACOTAR versus the Prince of Envy from Throne of the Fallen.
Prince of Envy from the Throne of the Fallen.
Okay, you have to support, because I haven't read that one yet.
Yes,
So,
and I will.
Don't spoil, though.
Oh.
Try not to spoil too much.
Okay, so the goal here was to have, like, similar species fighting each other.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, similar-ish. While Throne of the Fallen is involving Fae, Envy is not one.
Yeah.
He is almost equivalent to a god.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. So Envy, as much as I love Rhysand and he is very strong, Envy canonically has the power to take down like 10 massive enemies, basically crippled. Like, not crippled, but like with
Severe disadvantage.
severe disadvantage, yeah.
Okay. That works for me,
Yeah.
honestly.
I'm trying to not get rid of too much there.
Okay. Then last one. Xaden Ryerson
Okay.
from Fourth Wing,
Yes.
the Empyrean series, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah. I think Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing, yeah. Versus Khan from When the Moon Hatched.
Khan from When the Moon Hatched would win that one.
I feel like you're biased in this one because I disagree.
But yes, Xaden has the dragon signet power thing, but Khan is, one, not human. He is Fae.
That's true.
And two, I'm thinking of the scene near, like, the last third of the book when he's fighting for Rave's hand in marriage.
Yeah.
And he has that, like, fighting ring, essentially.
Yeah.
And he has a history in that fighting ring as being one of the toughest people there. And also beats the other guy that was fighting for Rave.
I think the reason I slightly disagree, and I think it would be an interesting knockdown drag-out battle, actually, because, one, canonically, Xaden does way too much all the time. Let's start there. Depending. If it was, like, to say Violet sort of thing, maybe even more, like, knockdown, drag-out.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you with the Fae thing. There's already, like, starting, like, a biological Khan would win sort of in a fist fight. But the reason I'm like, I don't know, or I slightly disagree, because you make a good point with the ring, the example you gave, is because Xaden's shadow signet keeps him at a distance. He can fight a little bit from a distance. Which would help him, because if Khan hits him, it's gonna hurt.
It's over.
It's gonna hurt. But if Khan can't hit him, that's different. So there's that. And I think Zayden's smart enough to figure that shit out pretty quickly. One would hope.
One would hope.
But also, I think with his Iron Flame spoiler alert here, with his Intensic ability to see people's intentions, there's that too. That if he learns how to use that in a fighting way, which they don't really get to talk about that in the book. But if he can use that to see people's intentions to hit him in certain places, he can dodge the fuck out of it.
Is that how the Intensic ability works, though?
That's what I'm saying. They haven't explained his Intensic ability yet.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to wait for Onyx Storm to come out for us to actually learn that shit.
And then the Hare can tell us all about it.
Exactly.
Because I will, I'll get there, but...
I will probably end up reading Onyx Storm first.
Yes, most likely.
Though, I
might DNF it.
That's fair. It depends on the... Oh, yeah. That's fair. But, which actually, this is completely unrelated and is totally staying in the podcast.
Sure.
You want me to grab you a copy of the Target edition of Onyx Storm?
No, I'm okay.
You good? Okay, because I was thinking I was just going because I'm taking that day off.
No, I don't have any. I don't own any part of Fourth Wing.
Okay.
In a physical copy.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask because it's pretty. No. It's sprayed edges.
Yeah.
Very pretty sprayed edges.
I do love a sprayed edge.
Because I got the deluxe edition for my birthday, which means I have time and money to go get the Target version and have both and just have them framed.
Right.
Help them frame.
I am okay. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I thought I'd ask.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Which now, I guess that's it for our first section.
Yes, that is the literary
gauntlet. Woo! Woo! Yeah, cool. I have no idea how long this is because the recording looks really fucking funny.
It's 11 minutes.
Is it 11 minutes?
So it says.
Oh shit. Look at that.
Look
10
at
minutes. Haha. So next up is Book Bites, which means we are talking about When the Moon Hatched.
That is our primary discussion today.
Yeah.
Is the book we will be talking about. It is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Yeah. Beautiful name. Beautiful cover. Honestly, I bought it because of the cover, and then I made the Hare get it.
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is actually another thing about another reason why I want to buy the Target one, because it has colored art throughout it.
Ooh.
So anyway, that's unrelated. We are talking about When the Moon Hatched.
When the Moon Hatched, Sarah A. Parker.
So Tortoise, you're gonna read our little description we found on Goodreads?
I would love to. So here is the book description if you are unfamiliar or need a refresher on When the Moon Hatched from Goodreads. Begins with, the creators did not expect their beloved dragons to sail skyward upon their end, to curl into balls just beyond gravity's grip, littering the sky with tombstones, with moons. They certainly did not expect them to fall. As a valued elding blade of the rebellion group Fier du Ath, Rave's job is to kill, to complete orders and never get caught. When a renowned bounty hunter is employed by the Crown to capture a member of the Ath, Rave's world is turned upside down. Blood spills, hearts break, and Rave finds herself at the mercy of the Guild of Nobles, a group of dual-beaded elementals who intend to turn her into a political statement. Only death will set her free. Crushed beneath a mourning weight, Khan Vhagar took the head of a king and donned his melted crown, now on a tireless quest to assuage the never-ebbing ache in his chest. His hunt for a moonshard lures him into the belly of Gore's notorious prison, where he stumbles upon something that rips apart his perception of reality. A shackled miracle with eyes full of rage and blood on her hands. The echo of the past sings louder than the creators themselves, and even Rave can't ignore the truths blaring at her from a warmer, happier time. However, there's more to this song than meets the eye, and some truths. They're too poisonous to swallow. When the Moon Hatched is a fast-paced fantasy romance for fans of witty banter and strong, sassy protagonists. Beneath the cover is an immersive, vibrant world with mysterious creatures, a unique magic system, and a love that blazes through the ages.
Dramatic, isn't it? Sounds like a soap opera, doesn't it?
It kind of is.
It is.
I love it.
So we have options for how we can go about this. Do you want to start with the good Or you just want to start with your straight opinion and then go from there? We'll just discuss.
Let's start with our opinion.
Okay.
You give your opinion first.
Okay. So I think I'm going to call my opinion, if I had to give it a name, the devil's advocate opinion.
Okay.
I think that is fully where I'm at with this book.
Okay.
So for those who don't know, I write book reviews. Website is linked somewhere to this podcast. But when I was reading the book, I was fully intending to write a review on it. Mm-hmm. And then I was so frustrated with certain aspects of it that I had to just speed read the rest of it so I could finish it, because I do want to know what happens, but so fast that I actually would not fully be able to write a good review on it. So I essentially, I enjoyed it as, a fun little read, but other than that, I have my issues with it.
Not a critically acclaimed read, just a fun read.
Yes.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think there are some really good parts to it. I think that the world building is fantastic. No, I don't think anyone can argue with that. Mm-hmm. The character development, I think, is very good, and I think the characters are interesting. Mm-hmm. That being said, I could care less about the romance. And there are some plot lines I could have done without. However, with how the book ended, I'm willing to give some of the points I didn't like the benefit of the doubt of it could be important in the next book. Yeah. Or later on down the line.
I think you called it as having book series syndrome or something.
Yeah, the book series syndrome, where basically the first book or even the first two books, depending on the full length of the series or the intended length of the series. Sometimes series that are trying to do amazing work in world building and plot development don't end up isolating their first or second book, its own plot, having those books having their own individual plot. Mm-hmm. It can be connected to an overarching, series. Yeah. But I think that series should also, within each book, should contain a plot line. Mm-hmm. Which there is. I do agree with you when we talked about it a little bit earlier. Yeah. There are some plot lines to it. There's a purpose to book one. It's not that there's no purpose to the book, but I do see where some people have said there's no plot. I can see where they're coming from. I think, though, they're mixing up, purpose with plot.
Yeah, I think saying no plot is a insult to the book as it is written. Yes. For sure. Because there is a plot. When I saw the review and a couple different reviews that say there isn't a plot, I'm like, what? Yeah. That was my first reaction to it.
Because there is, like I said, I think there is a plot, but I think the plot itself is so overarching in some aspects that it's so clearly connected to a series that it can be frustrating for readers who are just looking for, while they may be going into the book knowing they're going to read a series, but I don't think they understood how this author is intending to write the series. Yeah. So I think it's almost like a reader's interest versus conflicting with an author's intent. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. People have their opinions, right? But I do think my negative opinions come from specifically, or my negative views on the book come specifically from the romance, which, like I said, I didn't fully care for. Right. Even though I love the characters as individuals. Mm-hmm. And the lack of a internal plot. Okay. Here's this book, this is step 1, 2, 3, 4, final ending, this is the intention of this book. Or this is the plot of this book. Mm-hmm. But again, there is a purpose to the book, so I'm not, mad about it. Yeah. Because it does fulfill its purpose of establishing characters and establishing a plot line. Yeah. That does kind of end does have a conclusion to it. But the fact that I don't remember what that conclusion is kind of says a lot, though, for my read of it.
Yeah.
My read, though. That's my own personal read.
Right.
So, go ahead.
My opinion is basically completely opposite.
Yeah.
So, I loved every second of this book. From the start to the finish. I went from never reading a book or not being able to finish a book in 3 years of attempting to read books and not being able to I believe I finished this in about 3 days.
Yeah.
Which is incredible for me.
I think it took me 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If not longer.
I'm going to have a real hot take. And
go for it.
It's going to be... I feel as though a lot of readers nowadays are used to the low-key brain rot romantasy.
That's fair.
And arguably poorly written books.
I can get behind that.
And when you get to this lyrical, like, obviously very well developed, thought about, I loved the fact that it was an actual real world.
Yep. I can get with that.
And not just one where we took Earth and put a pretty name on it and gave it a different...
ACOTAR.
That was literally what I was thinking of with the British Isles.
But we'll get there. That's later on. That's after this, actually.
Yeah.
That's our next section.
So, and then you get to this, and there are criticisms about the glossary and how it wasn't developed in the book, but every single word and concept about the Earth or the world that she was building, Parker was building, is in the book. It's just like, if you have short-term memory like me, a little Swiss cheese brain, you can go back and look and find out what each of these things were that she talked about previously, because it is a slow burn. Like, I think we are so used to nowadays of that immediate gratification, that when you have this book and it's developing and it's building on itself, chapter by chapter by chapter, of you're getting a little bit of revelation from the Eluin Navon diary entries, which I absolutely adored.
Me too. I really did enjoy that. I think that's why I stand by their, like, my issues with the plot not being that there isn't a plot, because I agree there is.
Yeah.
But I do think, and like I said, the book serves a purpose.
Yes.
So anyone who says otherwise is, like you said, used to brain rot, essentially. So I appreciate the slow burnness of it. There's just, I think, I don't know how to put it. Continue.
Okay.
I'll put words in my brain eventually.
I don't know if it's just like the book series that I'm used to reading, where there isn't necessarily a contained singular book plot, where it's like each book has its own plot, but it's set in the same character universe. This is very obviously supposed to be part of a series. And as I was reading through it, I was like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And then you get to the end and it's just like cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And those, I feel like, are the books that I grew up reading when I loved reading. And I kind of brought back that feeling of excitement that I hadn't had for a long time about a book.
Then I actually might lend you my copy of Worthy of Fate by Anne Cottle, one of the books I mentioned in episode 1. Because it's similar. It has that. There's not necessarily a slow burn romance, but it's so clearly a part of the series. Yeah. So I think you might actually enjoy it.
Probably. I mean, when I'm thinking
There's an audiobook.
Hey. When I'm thinking of, like, long books, as this obviously is intended to be, I think of Sanderson. And obviously Sanderson and Parker are two totally different worlds. I'm not calling When the Moon Hatched a Sanderson novel. I'm not saying it. It's
Don't come for us.
Don't come for me. I love Sanderson. Love Mistborn. Listen to all of them. All 48 hours of each book. So I think the short, easy, fast-paced reads that we're used to kind of overshadowed what this is intended to be, which is a high fantasy, new world kind of situation. Yeah,
I can agree with that.
And I loved the characters. Like you said, absolutely adored the characters.
They're so well developed and feel
real.
Like people. They feel like somebody, I was like, oh, if I came up to this person, I'd be like, not that I necessarily know who they are. Well, I mean, the ears would give it away.
Yes. You're not a person.
You're not a human. Interesting. Hello.
Yes.
but I do think, like, they feel like people.
Mm-hmm. And you can like them or not like them, and that's what's nice about
That's
it.
kind of the point, yeah.
Right. Like, I think you had mentioned to me while you were reading it how you didn't really like Rave.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Her obvious aggressive front, I think you had a problem with.
I think, but it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my problem with her is it's not from a writing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good thing about this
Right.
book. Because she's so well developed, oddly, my problem with Rave is her as a person.
Yes, that's what I mean. You might not like her as a person, but she's a person.
Yeah.
She's a character.
Yeah, she's not a poorly written character by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. Like, she's a fantastically written character.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are aspects to her personality, because she has one.
Love that.
Hint, hint, my every woman problem from episode 1. That she pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because I think she's meant to.
Yes.
I think she's meant to almost come across as childish to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Because of the whole amnesia thing.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys. But because of this weird amnesia plot line,
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that I think she is meant to come across, maybe not necessarily as childish, but as, like, I don't know a good word for it, because she's not always childish. I don't think that's immature, maybe, or even, like,
self-focused. She's very selfish.
She is very selfish, which makes her interesting.
And that is a major part of the plot, is her selfishness.
Yeah. But I think almost I like that she's selfish,
Mm-hmm.
because I think a lot of female main characters who are, and this is a writing thing, which
Mm-hmm.
we can bring up again later, and you'll know probably exactly what I'm referencing with this when I say what I'm about to say, that she's very selfish without coming across as necessarily as bitchy, or as unhuman,
Mm-hmm.
or, like, as one-dimensional.
Right.
Like, she is selfish, but that's not her, and that's a very defining part of her,
Yes.
but it's not who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that is my problem with some other characters.
Yes.
Character, I should say, that people love and adore, but I really don't care for, so I'll never read that book, and you can't pay me to.
Yep.
Actually, no, you could pay me to, but that's a different conversation.
We'll get paid to read books. We'll do it.
We'll do it. Oh, no, guys, correction. We will read books. We can be paid in books.
Both is good.
No, give us your book for free and we'll promote it.
Yes.
Fully
promote it.
Cheers, we'll do it.
I think the aspect is that it's a character flaw, but not a character
trait, almost.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's a character flaw, it's a character trait, but it's not the all-consuming character. It is not the character flat.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, that's a good way of putting it, I think. Yeah, because I did start off with, I have to go back in my notes here.
She has notes.
I have lots of notes with timestamps, guys. They have timestamps.
I went back and made my notes after I read the book.
So if we go in order of actually the book itself,
okay.
Right? And you can chime in with things as I read these off a little bit or summarize them.
Yeah.
Very beginning of the book starts with like a mythos origin story.
The prologue
is a creation story. That's what I'm looking for.
I have been obsessed with this book from the prologue.
Yeah. No, I really, like, as a read, like, it's such an enjoyable book to read.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a hard book, in my opinion, to get through. I did enjoy the prose and stuff like that, but like I said, some of the tropes just pissed me off.
That's fair.
So that's just me, though. But one of the things, and I can already tell you now, that if Kalis ends up becoming, like, a character later on, which would be great, like, if the gods become... Like, exactly. Daddy Kalis.
Daddy
Hello.
Kalis.
Hello.
That's the god of ether.
Yeah, and he's a sad boy.
He's such a sad boy.
Which means I can fix him. No. But it seems like he might actually become a character later on. The way he's talked about in this book kind of shows to me that he might become a character, which will be very interesting.
It is, yes.
But it starts with an origin story and how, like, and I say literally, that based on this origin story, and I will not give you context, I will not explain. I'm just going to tell you what I wrote.
She will not answer any questions.
There will be no questions unless you leave it in a review.
Leave it in a review. Comment.
If you leave it in a review or a comment or whatever, then I will answer it, but otherwise, nothing. I just said about the prologue opening thing that the gods are all snakes, and Kalis is best boy that did not deserve what they did to him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I said. So, and like I said, you get no explanation from me on that.
Yep.
Read the book.
Yep. Read the book. Can recommend. Although, to brain hop off of your mentions of the gods, I am obsessed with the way that Parker weaves the gods into the world, basically. So into each character and into the world. And this is not a very big spoiler. It is in chapter 4. So is when it's right off the beginning. The way Rafe talks about the goddess of air, Claude, I'm obsessed with. She's just this little maniac.
Oh, she's insane.
She's insane.
Yeah,
Claude is chaos.
She's a psychopath, and I love her.
Yes. And that's part of, like, just an example of her relationship. And the people who have the gods' powers can hear the gods and can feel their personalities. And I love that aspect of it.
I think it's definitely, it honestly reminds me, it reminds me a lot of, like, pagan views on, like, gods and religions, where they're, like, straight nature. Even, like, I think you can argue to a certain extent, like, some Native American views on certain, like, spiritual relationships, which is very interesting. Rather than them being, like, more of the Christianity view of, like, they're all-encompassing, all-powerful, ever omnipresent sort of thing, where instead they're, like, so connected and they're right there, and you can talk with them.
And similar in some ways to the Roman and Greek gods, where there is relationships between these different gods.
Yeah. Yep.
Where there's love and hate, and that's why the elements interact the way they do, like earth with fire.
Yeah. Very true. Stubborn earth and trying to burn everything to ash fire.
Yeah, and Claude is crazy, so she just whips everything up.
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And Rain is just eternally sad.
Yeah.
Poor
Rain.
Gods are still snakes, though. You can't convince me otherwise.
Okay, go back to your...
One of my big things I also said is that right off the top, I was like, wow, Rafe kind of has a chip on her shoulder about the whole elemental thing. Like, she's just talking, I think she spends, like, a chunk of a chapter just being like, wow, people with beads are awful and suck. And
I think that is intended to be a major setting of the plot, the overarching plot, because you wear beads to indicate which elements that you have connection to, so which powers you have. Yeah. And if you don't have connections to any of the gods, you don't wear beads, you get a chip out of your ear, you get a knock. Yeah. It's called a null. And nulls are basically like the servants, the lowest level of society. Yeah. The more beads you have, the more connections with the gods, the higher. And I believe, correct me if I believe that was encouraged by the new king. Yes. Which is part of that political intrigue plot that is being developed here. Yeah. And so it really sets the tone for, I think, part of why she's in the Fear Duath, which is that rebel group.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an intentional thing, for sure, to help people understand, like, the classism dynamics, essentially, which I think is very interesting.
That's a great word for it, too. It's setting up
castes, almost. It's almost even a caste system. Yeah.
Because there's no way to move out of it. You can't just gain a god power. Yeah.
You just you're born with it or you're not, and good luck to you if you are, good luck to you if you're not. Yeah. Like, just is what it is. So that's an interesting thing. Let's talk about a trope then. Okay. Let's talk about trope.
Bring it on.
A trope that I both love and despise all at the same time. Yeah. Fated mates.
Fated mates.
Bullshit.
Yes, they are.
So the book doesn't end up following through with the setup. Thank God.
Thank God.
I was gonna...
Spoiler.
Not really.
A little bit.
Well, it's clear that people, like, meet and fall in love naturally.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Like, there's not... I don't think there is a concept of mates in this world.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, you're bound, and that's the person you chose to marry.
Yeah. So, it's... But I will say the book did start off with this weird, like, vibe that there was gonna be fated mates.
Yeah.
And while I think it can be done really well and can be a really interesting plot device, no.
Yeah.
I had read so many fated mate books at that point.
I remember you texting me, and you were like, this better not be a fucking fated mates novel.
Where I will choke somebody out. I am done with fated mates. And then I go right back into reading books with fated mates.
Yes, you do.
So it's fine.
A glutton.
I'm a glutton for punishment, y'all. But here we are. So
it doesn't actually... I think it's fair to say that our discussion here might contain some spoilers.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually end up being... It just goes into the trope, the other trope that you're not a big fan of, which is the amnesia trope.
Okay.
Because she does say pretty early on in this book that she has memories missing.
Yeah. And I think an amnesia trope is something that can either be done really well,
which I think this one is.
I think it does it well as well. However, I personally don't care for it.
That's fair.
I think she does it really well, in the sense of because we get insights into her memories that she has lost.
Right.
And you are able to piece together who she is before she knows even.
Yes.
So
the diary entries.
Yeah, and it's really good from a, like, almost like a mystery writing perspective. It's really well done.
That was the other part of it that I really liked.
So I think the amnesia trope is done really well, but I don't particularly like amnesia in romance specifically.
Yeah.
Because I think it's almost lazy.
It's an easy cop-out.
It's an easy cop-out.
If it's done poorly, it's a very easy cop-out.
Which, in a weird way, because it's such a normally easy cop-out, and because we do learn a lot about how, like, about Rave's, I'm trying not to give too many things away, about, like, Rave's memories and who she's connected with and stuff like that, it's hard for me to... God, I don't know how to put this. Because it is an easy cop-out, and because that's almost like I was waiting for, like, Rave to give in to her, former lover and be like, oh, wait, I was in love with you. Now she's just being super stubborn about it.
Yes.
It pisses me off. Because I'm like, girl, you are so self-destructive, and I get it, that's your character arc.
Yeah.
Is learning to not be self-destructive.
Yeah.
But still, you're pissing me off now. But again, that's probably just good writing, because it's making me feel something.
Yes.
So.
We do love when writing makes us feel something.
That is true.
And I do like the way that she didn't immediately give into it. It was very naturally regained.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Or at least, because I don't even think she's regained her memories.
Not all of them. She's getting them.
Slowly,
Yeah.
right?
It's starting at a faster rate. Like, so once one memory comes back, more are coming back at a faster rate. And it helps that there are certain triggers that are bringing it forward.
Yeah. And I think it's good for her to, have that, and like that, to have written it that way.
Yes.
Because it does make it more interesting and more compelling. But even to a certain extent, I still feel like it's a cop-out.
Yeah.
Romance-wise.
Sure.
Plot device-wise, great, fantastic, love it. But I hate amnesia with romances because it just feels not this lazy.
It's icky.
It's icky and a little lazy in some aspects.
Yeah.
Not that it can't be done well, though.
Yeah.
I will say. I'm just tired of Khan a little bit, too, with that, though.
You're tired of Khan?
Like, I think he's cool, but he's not, like, book boyfriend material, which is weird.
I don't think he's intended to be.
I don't think he is either. Him and Rave can live happily ever after.
Young Khan is book boyfriend material.
That's true. That is true.
Baby Khan.
Baby Khan.
We do love Baby Khan. And that's fine to say because he's not baby. He's just...
Instead of 500 years old, he's only
20.
300.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, what else was interesting? Because there's, like, the amnesia is pretty interesting.
The political development.
The political development is very, very good.
Mm-hmm. The political intrigue of the world.
Mm-hmm. You talk about that one.
Me talk about that one?
Sure.
Okay. So you have, obviously from the very start, we have this discussion of the Fjord Ath, which is that rebellion group, and they're fighting against, I think, the caste system, and they're against the king who's in charge of
Yeah, they're specifically
the shade.
in the... Are they in the shade or the fade?
The fade.
They're in the fade, right?
Yes, yeah. They're up in the fade. Or I guess in the middle in the fade, if we were to talk about it in the middle there. So right in the middle between all of it, the fade and the king of the fade, because you have the king of the burn and the king of the fade.
Yeah, each area has a king.
Yeah.
And they're all related, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yep. Because you've got Khan in the burn, and then you have in the fade... blanking on his name, but he's a great old jerk. Grade A jerk, I should say.
Yeah, he is a grade A jerk.
And
oh, you know what? Fuck. You just reminded me of something else that pissed me off.
You'd say it while I'm looking for his name.
While she's looking for the king's name, who is basically the plot, let's be honest.
The plot is the political intrigue. And the plot of this book is Rave re-remembering who she is.
Yeah. And, like, figuring out her past and stuff like that. I am interested to see, and spoilers, I guess. I don't know if I can know. I am interested in seeing why she has an issue with fire.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think they fully explained that.
Not fully. They did talk about the and this is definitely a spoiler, but the trauma of being flown to the burn.
Yeah.
And her dragon.
Yeah, but there's something like a hint at the beginning, I think, where she was subject to like almost like...
It's that fighting ring.
Like a raid? No. It's like early on. It's not the fighting ring. I think there was a whole... And maybe I'm misremembering this, guys. But I thought there was a part where she's like having a memory of her being in like... I thought she was like in a village getting burned down. She was running from somebody. I don't think they ever fully explained that.
I don't remember that part.
It's one of those things that just stuck out to me.
Sure.
So fuck if I remember, though.
We'll circle back to it.
But... Okay, it's not This is an issue I have with writing romantasy and fantasy in general. Okay. And I think a lot of authors make this mistake, or they've overused it.
Okay.
I think that's better. It's not a mistake. I think it's overused. Of setting up a character to be like the big bad, or to be kind of like a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And then, no, he's actually really great. He's a great king. He's actually great for his people. He's ruthless because he's protecting his kingdom.
Okay.
It's so overused.
Who is that?
Khan.
Oh.
He was set up, like, from the whole half of the book.
Yeah.
Is the people being like, oh, the king of the burn murders everyone and da-da-da-da-da.
But that's not actually. That was a rumor he created.
Yeah. But because it's from Ray's perspective, and that's the people's view, that's the societal view, yes, he might have made it. It's still, I hate it.
Yeah, because when she actually goes to the burn, which Khan is the king of, it's actually a very happy, well-developed society.
No, that's my problem.
Okay.
I hate that trope. I hate that. Because they did it with Rhysand too.
Oh, where he has the reputation. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, where the reputation of the main male usually is of being heartless or cruel or whatever, and then it's like, no, actually he takes really good care of his people. He's a really good ruler. He's a really good king. Yeah. Or whatever. He's actually really sweet. Mm-hmm. He just misunderstood.
I think you also have to take into perspective where Rave is from, which is the Shade. And I found his name. It's Tyroth.
Okay.
Tirith or something. I think it might be Tirith.
The king we hate is Tirith, Tyroth, whatever the heck.
Whichever one. Current king of the Shade. And he is the sibling of Khan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, so that is where Rave starts, is in the Shade, where Tirith is the king of.
Yeah.
And so it could be also part of the politics.
Yeah. Which, again, I stand by, like, again, it's not that it can't make sense. Because it makes sense that that would exist, right? Especially in that kind of political spectrum, like that kind of political environment. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I like it in a book.
Okay. I get
It's just something I'm tired of because I do think it's overused.
Yeah.
Do I think it exists for a reason and that it's accurate to the real world to a certain extent even?
Yeah.
Yes. But do I like it? No, because I'm kind of tired of it.
Okay.
If we're going to do morally gray, which most are, right? Yeah. Their actions prove to be morally gray half the time. And
a leader kind of has to be morally gray when you look at it that way.
Yeah. And I agree with it. But, like, don't, like, paint the picture of him being an asshole and then suddenly, like, he's not.
Yeah.
Like, keep him an asshole. That's fine.
Yeah.
You can fall in love with an asshole, guys. You can learn who the person is underneath the asshole.
Yeah.
But, like, it's kind of annoying when authors do it.
Was there a time period he was?
A little bit,
I think after...
When he forcefully rescues her, and that pissed me off, too.
Well, yeah, there was that. But when...
And they have the immediate sexual tension that I'm like, wow, I'm already tired of this, too.
Yeah, when she thought it was fated mates. And the sexual tension.
But
I think there's a time period after Eluin dies.
Yes.
That he, like, loses his mind.
Yes. I think so, too.
And that might be where the rumor starts.
Probably.
Because really, he doesn't have this altruistic...
Yeah, he's not altruistic in any way.
Or goodness, except when he's talking to Eluin or Rave.
Yeah, which is fair. Or even his family, too.
Yeah, his sister. But he did cut the head off his father.
That's true. Good for him. So... Though from everything they described, Dad kind of deserved it.
Dad did deserve it. But to say that he is, like, a wholesome person.
I don't think he is, and that's not my point either. It's just, I think I am tired of, like, people saying, like, they're all this, like, extreme, like, they almost, like, exaggerate it.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you actually meet them, it's, like, way underplayed. And I'm like, no. If you're gonna make someone ruthlessly cruel, murders people, blah, 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 blah.
Make them ruthless.
Just do it. You could still love them. Again, they can still be a very interesting character, very interesting, like, romantic partner, right? Like, they can still be cool. Yeah. But, like, follow through. I think that's my problem. Follow through.
I'm waiting for it to be the trope or the theme where it's mean to everybody else but his lover. Yeah. Or to his selected people. Yeah. Like, ruthless and cruel, and then...
Sunshines and daisies.
Yes. Which I love that dichotomy, personally.
It's fun. I do think it's fun. I think I'm just struggling to see it done in a way that I like. Yeah. I do think When the Moon Hatched got pretty close. I won't disagree. But I think the characters and their decisions started pissing me off, so I started reading over certain things.
Yeah. That's fair.
So
it is a slowly developing book.
Yeah, it is. That's mostly a me problem. my issue with specifically When the Moon Hatched, is not from a critical perspective. It's from a personal perspective.
That's fair. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add on? What else did you like about the book?
I loved the dragons.
Dragons are cool.
Dragons are cool, and I liked the fact that it isn't just dragons have different colors. It's dragons were almost completely different species almost in some ways, where they were developed for the area in which they lived. Because the way that this world works is it's similar to an Earth that doesn't spin, where its tilt is always the same. And you have the burn being closest to the sun, the fade in the middle, and then the shade is where it's frozen, because it's furthest away from the sun. And so you have each creature that is created is designed for its area. So you have the dragons that are in the shade can't handle being in the burn, and that was which is the hot part.
Yeah.
And that was a major part of this plot.
Yeah.
Where the moon plumes and...
Yeah, the moon plumes can't handle being in the burn.
Right. The furthest they can go is the fade.
Yeah. Because it still keeps them cool.
Mm-hmm. And the nesting grounds was very interesting. The way that these people get their dragons is very interesting. It's not really bonding. Mm-hmm. It's theft.
It's theft. It's trauma bonding, kidnapping, and Stockholm Syndrome.
And we kind of love it.
It's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. But the dragons don't hate it.
Yeah, because they don't know anything else.
Well, that's fair.
Or there is, even to an extent, a bonding in the fact that you can take an older dragon, like you can, like, become partnered with an older dragon, but you have to, like, earn their respect almost. So in that way, it's almost, like, Fourth Wing-esque in that. Which is, like, one of the few things I really did like about Fourth Wing.
It's the way they choose their dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. How to choose your dragon, but
how to train your dragon.
But death.
But death, yes. So I really liked the dragon aspect of it. The magic was super interesting. And I did love... Oh! This is a major spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. Skip like the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
The other.
Yes!
I'm obsessed with the other.
Yes.
That is probably one of my favorite parts of Rave as a character.
Yes.
And what it ended up being revealed to be as the other.
What exactly was it? I don't think I fully understood.
Her dragon.
It is?
Yes, it's her dragon melded their souls together when she fell.
That's fucking insane.
That's how she kept Rave alive, was her dragon melded her soul. And so now she has a little part of her dragon. And this is at least how I understood it to be. Mm-hmm. She has a part of her dragon in her. And the other is the dragon's soul. And that's why she eats
everything.
Everything. She rips people apart with her teeth. Yeah. Because it's a dragon and that's what dragons have.
Yeah. Which makes actually a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, and I just love it because...
Beware of dog.
Hi, Shoma.
Hi, dog.
Hi, dog. So... What was I saying?
The other.
The other, yes. The other where she is... The other is there as, like, the kind of split personality where it takes over to protect Rave from whatever hardship or thing that your mind kind of... the way that human psychology works, where if you face something severely traumatic, you lose your mind, you lose your memories of that, or your brain blocks it out.
Yes.
And so you don't have to deal with it or until you're ready to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Similar to that, when Rave's mind is blocking it out to save her, the other steps in, and that is her dragon. Because they have that bond, because Rave didn't steal an egg. She bonded.
Yeah.
An old dragon, an existing dragon. Yeah. And so she had that connection with her. And I just love the melding of their souls and the fact that this dragon loved her so much that she is going to do literally everything she can to save her.
Yeah.
Like, she took her into the sky and wrapped around her.
Which is a big thing also that's brought up pretty early on, I think. That's not that happened to her, right? But that it does happen.
Yes,
because
when the dragons die, they go to the sky.
Yeah, but I think because I think that was part of one of the myths that is told, like in the diary. There is a myth where like a dragon takes their owner up into the sky and wraps around them.
Okay,
there is that's mentioned, I think, in one of the diary entries.
Okay,
so it's interesting. That at least.
Yes. So I did love that aspect. The other was cool. The dragons were very cool. The other was super cool.
Yeah. And she's scary and I loved her.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Love a good split personality.
Yes. So I think that was and the what is it? Hayman's moon or something?
Yes.
Hayden's moon?
Yeah, Hadian. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's named after her brother, isn't it?
It's named after Eowyn's brother, yeah. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's like Hadrian's Perch or something like that.
Yes, and how she has this connection with that moon.
She keeps staring at the tiniest moon.
Mm-hmm. I did love that part of it as well.
Yes. It's very interesting world building and almost like foreshadowing early on.
Yeah.
For some stuff.
So to summarize, love the world building.
Mm-hmm.
Love the characters.
Yes.
Could leave the romance.
Yeah.
It's well written.
Very well written.
The spicy scenes are well written.
Because I didn't care for the romance, I didn't care for the spicy
Sure,
scenes,
that's fair. And it's complex. If you're looking for a standalone book, this is not it.
Not it at all. No.
But if you're looking for like a classic read, I think, where a classic fantasy read where you have a long overarching plot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's almost Tolkien-esque in its world building.
Yes.
So if you're a fan of like the world building of Lord of the Rings, and I apologize now for the ringing you've heard from my dog like 12 times.
It's a good dog.
He's a good boy. He just don't know what he's doing. But if you like Tolkien's world building, you'll enjoy this book for sure.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient.
Yeah.
It's a book that requires patience.
Yes. And it has a plot.
I stand by it has a purpose.
Okay. We're in disagreement.
Yeah. Well, I do think like there's a plot to be had for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plot to be had. But I think it's because I hesitate to say that the book itself has a plot because the plot is not necessarily isolated fully to the book.
Yeah.
But the book serves a purpose in the plot of the series.
Yeah.
Which is almost more important than the book having a plot of its own.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Because that I think that summarizes my feelings on like the story itself.
Gotcha. Which is fair, because it is intended to be part of the series that is being built.
Yes.
And the end of the book, I am screaming over.
Correct.
So,
the end of the book, honestly, guys, the book is, 780 pages?
Something like that.
Something like that.
It's also small. It's also short.
It's not a very tall book.
Yes.
If you are, like, daunted by... If you find, like, really thick books daunting, buy the hardback.
Yes.
It's a lot less daunting.
It is.
At least appearances-wise.
It's crazy. Taller and wider.
Yes. But if, like, honestly, I would read the book just to get to that ending again. Like, I'd read the whole book again just to get to the ending.
And go,
because
I need the next one.
Plot twists abound in
They
this
sure
book.
do. It's like the best possible option for the last 100 pages of a book go crazy.
Yes. Yes. The whole book goes crazy, but, like, the last 100 pages, like, chef's kiss.
Yes. And that's When the Moon Hatched. So I highly rate it 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars for me.
Probably 4 stars for me.
Okay.
I do think it's a really good read.
Yeah.
Like I said,
You have your problems with it, and that's fair.
Yeah. Not a perfect read for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, our second to last little section just has a fun little go-to. Nothing critical about this at all. We call this, what is this? This is our third section?
Yes, the third section.
This third section, we are lovingly and kindly calling Whispers from the Court, aka Gossip Corner.
Kindly is debatable on my end.
Whispers from the Court. So, for this section...
No insult at the authors.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
But this section, Whispers from the Court, basically is us taking a book that's extremely popular on Book Talk or TikTok.
Yep.
In general, or Bookstagram, and giving our low-key hot takes on it.
Yeah.
This section is pretty much only going to be criticism.
Pretty much.
Let's be honest here.
I am not giving this a fair shot. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not us. I think we'll be polite.
There is no critical
No critical thinking skills.
Like, there's no... I don't know what I'm wanting.
Unbiased.
Unbiased or even sides on it. This is what we didn't like.
Yeah. This is what we didn't like, or things we would change.
Yes.
Hot takes.
Hot takes.
They're hot takes. So, whispers from the
Low
court.
key ones that I can't believe made it to be as popular as they are.
Yeah. So, Whispers of the Court, episode 2 is going to be on ACOTAR Book 1.
The actual Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yes. So, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Book 1, only. So we can't mention anything from outside of that unless it pertains to something in Book 1.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start? Because I know you have opinions.
I loved Tamlin in ACOTAR 1.
I think everyone did, though.
He was intended to be loved, yes.
Yes. I think that Book 1 proved to me, or set up things very well.
Yeah.
I think Book 1 was so I will be nice a little bit.
Okay.
So, Book 1 set up ACOTAR as a series very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was not enough plot.
Not enough plot. It was kind of like...
It was porn with plot, guys.
That's what it is. We,
PWP if you're on AO3.
Hey. We made it through 95% of the book and then realized that, we actually need to do something with this book. And that was where the last 5% is, which is classic SJM.
It really is, though. I hate it.
Yeah, where everything, and this has been all over the internet, but everything falls apart in like the last 50 pages of an SJM book.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's correct. But I think, and I can't fully go into detail because the rule is ACOTAR Book 1 only.
Yeah.
But I think this fits in with ACOTAR Book 1.
Yeah.
I think, and this is my hot take.
Okay.
This is my severe hot take that, honestly, get in the comments, come after me for this one.
Do it.
I dare you. SJM is a lazy writer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the things that are set up in Book 1
Mm-hmm.
that don't pan out or don't pan out well
Mm-hmm.
or never explained
Yeah.
proves that SJM is a lazy writer.
Right. Or that are just forgotten to conveniently fit a plot.
Mm-hmm. Correct. One big one that this is the hill I will die on. The sisters' relationships.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Make no fucking sense. Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, that whole dynamic makes no sense.
Feyre's not a youngest child.
I mean, you could argue she's a parentified youngest child.
Nah.
Okay, explain.
So she has the qualities because she was never parentified. Or at least not from her parents.
Yeah, not from her parents. No.
So that doesn't really work. She gives off like oldest or middle child vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine gives off youngest.
But that's what I mean by parentified then. Because, maybe I'm not using the right word, but it's the only word I can use at this point. Because Feyre in Book 1,
yes,
comes across as somebody who was forced to be the caretaker.
Yes.
Which to me is parentification.
Mm.
When you're forced to care for your family,
Mm-hmm.
That's, you can argue it's parentification, especially in, not that she took care of, that's in a way why she comes across as the oldest, because usually oldest children are the ones who are parentified and are required to take care of their younger siblings and do all the housework and da-da-da-da-da. So maybe parentification isn't the correct word because she wasn't necessarily a parent to her older siblings.
Yeah.
But she was definitely was forced into the provider role,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very interesting character thought that nothing is done with.
Nope.
Nothing!
Nope. Except for maybe she took care of Tamlin.
Yeah, but even then, not really.
That's true.
His whole thing is that he wanted to take care of her.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, and that he's the protector, he's the provider. And which, if they would have played more into, like, her being like, oh, I can actually just let myself be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really interesting, but instead she spends the whole book and the rest of the series fighting it!
Yes.
And then continues to be put in the role that's not healthy for her.
And you could almost say that would be her character, but that is not how it's written. It's not written with any kind of development of that being a character.
Yeah, it becomes her character rather than becoming an interesting character development point.
Yes.
So,
she never grows from it.
never.
Which is the whole point of a book, is you should see growth in a character, especially a main character. If it's a side character, okay.
Yeah.
But
which actually, here's another hot take, which is, again, more of a book 2 hot take.
Okay.
But stems from book 1, and I'll just say it and will not explain.
Okay.
Feyre should stay human, thanks.
Yeah. But then she would have died, and she couldn't have been the whatever.
Done all this other stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I think it's boring.
Yeah, I hate...
she could have died and come back to life as a human.
Yeah. I also hate that, like, she didn't follow... The one instruction she had was to not go out on whatever it's called.
Calamai?
Calamai. I wanted to call it Beltane, but that's not correct.
I mean, it's Beltane.
It's Beltane.
With a fancy name.
Yeah. She didn't do the one thing she was supposed to.
I mean, I don't blame her, though, on that one.
I guess I don't remember why.
It comes from a character, a part of her character, which made sense. Like, her going out makes sense, because her whole thing, it's the whole plot of book 2, is that she doesn't like to be confined.
Oh, okay.
It's her whole character, too.
That's
Along
true.
with being the protector, or being the provider, she also doesn't like to be contained. It's like her 2 major character points, I think.
But there's no reason given for why.
I could come up with one, but you're right, there's not one given at all. You can speculate.
Because she was never contained. She was never trapped anywhere.
Yeah. Which, like I said, there is an argument to be made.
Yeah.
That if you really wanted to make the argument.
But it wasn't in the books.
But it's not in the books. It's not explained. But you can theorize.
Coming full circle back to SJM as lazy writer.
Correct. I think that's our biggest criticism, I think, of SJM. Or of ACOTAR Book 1, for sure. It's just lazy writing.
Yes. It is not well written, which is why when I said people are used to the Brainrot bookstagram, book talk books, and they didn't fully understand what When the Moon Hatched, coming full circle to wrap this up, didn't fully understand what When the Moon Hatched was supposed to be, because they're used to the gratification of book talk.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of summarizing everything and tagging everything along. So I guess that leaves us into our final conclusion here.
Which is, what is next?
What's next? So next time on the Tortoise and the Hare book club, I will be doing most of the book talking.
I will be along for the ride. Or we will both be along. We, listeners, will be along for the ride.
Because I will be talking about a lesser-known series called the Dark Halos series. Not sure how to pronounce it. By Amanda Agee. It's a 3-book trilogy that's a Alice in Wonderland retelling.
Love.
And that's all you get for this little...
Check-in in 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. So.
And follow us on Instagram.
Yep, Arcane Book Nest.
Check out the website.
Yep.
Which is linked.
This is linked because it's a long one.
Because nobody's going to write it down.
No one's going to tell you.
Yeah.
And we're on YouTube too.
Hey.
Tortoise and the Hare Book Club on YouTube. Okay.
You can find us on basically every platform.
Yep. So, have a good day.
Until then, see you next time.
Bye. Bye.